Welcome to Section 5, the last section of this training program. In this section, we're going to go over energy audit and lighting analysis. This is a 14 to 17 page report which summarizes our findings as to the customer's existing lighting systems. It proposes a new lighting solution with either LED or induction and provides all sorts of facts and figures why the customer should give you the deal. For purposes of this training, we're going to use an audit that we prepared for a company called Midwest Rubber in Deckerville, Michigan. Midwest Rubber purchased more than $150,000 of LED and induction products from us as a result of this particular audit, so we certainly know that it works. On your screen is the front cover of the report. The picture on the front cover were pulled from Midwest Rubber's website, and we always try and personalize the report and provide an image of either the customer's building or the products that they sell. Since it's critical that you establish a relationship from the outset with your customers, personalizing the report is probably a good initial step. This first page provides some basic information related to the customer, their energy use, their utility provider, and existing costs. The chart at the bottom shows the step-by-step process of how the analysis works. It's a bit of filler, but it looks good, and some clients appreciate knowing the process. It would certainly serve you well to be familiar with it if they ask, because sometimes they do. As you are probably aware, many, if not most, if not all of your customers will not read this entire report. Although it has a lot of useful information, people are busy and they don't want to take the time to go over all of the minute details. That's why this page presents virtually all of the critical information in a simple, easy to read format, so you can cut right to the chase if the customer requests it. Since each one of the numbers in this executive summary is critical, let's go through them one by one. First, you'll see the number 41,357. That is the total estimated number of kilowatt hours of electricity the company uses for its lighting system on a monthly basis. The next number, the 7 cents, identifies the total cost per kilowatt hour charged by the local utility. You'll see that this is just the estimated charge, however. The reason for the estimate is that the utility will charge different rates at different times of the day for peak and off-peak hours. Also, rates change for a variety of other reasons, and we don't really want to get into the minutia of how the utility charges. Therefore, we just choose a reasonable baseline for comparison's sake. The next number, $2,894.96, estimates the total cost for the customer to run his existing lights each month. The next number, 14,357, shows the estimated kilowatt hours that would be used annually if the customer implemented LED and induction solution. That's a savings of more than 60% if you're keeping track. The next number, $1,004.96, tells you how much the monthly energy cost would be with the proposed lighting solution. The next number, $315.54, estimates the air conditioning savings. We'll explain this a little bit later in detail, but as you've already heard in this training, LEDs run much cooler than standard lighting systems, and some reports estimate that existing lighting systems can add as much as 4 degrees of ambient temperature to a room. By retrofitting with LEDs, we estimate that there will be a temperature drop, and thus we estimate the reduced cost due to the lower burden on the HVAC system. The next number, $225.90, estimates the total reduction in monthly maintenance expenses as a result of not having to change light bulbs every few years. There's obviously some cost to change light bulbs, as minimal as it may appear to be. But if you have several thousand light bulbs in an environment, you could be changing tens, if not hundreds a month, and the cost of materials can easily add up. Also, if you have high bays or lights that are difficult to reach, the cost to change them could be several $100s each time if you're renting large equipment to help with the job. By having LED or induction bulbs that last for 10 to 20 years, the savings on maintenance can be substantial, and in this particular case, it's represented by approximately $225 per month. The next number, $2,431.43, represents the total savings when you add up all of these different components. Moving down the paragraph, we also note the rebates, incentives, and financing available for this transaction. $30,660 was the total rebate available through the utility company. As we noted in Section 3 of this training program, many other companies are unaware of existing rebates and won't do the legwork necessary to get them awarded. Here, we had a nearly 20% savings, which was a huge advantage over our competitors if they weren't aware of those particular rebates. 20% is pretty hard to beat. The next number, $15,840, was the available rebate from the federal government through Section 179D. You might want to click pause right now and Google Federal Tax Section 179D to understand what a powerful tool it can be to a customer who objects to the high price of LEDs. This can be a huge savings, and it's applicable to customers across the country. So wherever you are, you should try to take advantage of it. We also note in this summary page that Midwest Rubber would not have to bring a single dollar out of their pocket, as 100% of the cost of the retrofit was made available through financing. And the savings from the new solution was so great that it generated enough money to pay the monthly cost of financing and put a few bucks back in the customer's pocket. If you think about this entire executive summary, it's a fairly compelling sales proposition. We'll give you better lights that are environmentally sound, that will last forever, that will significantly drop your monthly utility bill, and it won't cost you a dollar out of your cash flow. If you think about it, how can anybody say no? This page stays the same regardless of the customer or the deal. It simply provides a comparison of the various characteristics of LED, incandescent, and the media's choice as an alternative, CFLs. In the chart, we try to reduce the differences between the various lights to dollars and cents and clearly illustrate exactly how much each of the different bulbs would cost over the lifetime of the product. I don't need to go over each of these numbers, but you should spend some time with this page and really learn the comparative results. They are very powerful to bring up when discussing possible deals with customers, especially when you're dealing with people who are hooked on CFLs. In that case, showing them that a 50 to 80% reduction is possible by going from CFLs to LEDs will very likely score you major points and possibly win the deal. This page is pretty much filler. We may be pulling it out of the EEA because all it does is provide a written description of the lighting count and retrofit performed at the customer's facility. It merely provides some basic information relating to existing legislation and the benefits of an LED solution, much of which you'll probably discuss with your customer outside of this EEA. Nevertheless, it's here, so there you go. This is a critical page in the EEA because it incorporates all of the information you provided from the lighting count into the analysis. If your information is incorrect, this analysis is incorrect. Garbage in, garbage out. You can see that our analyses are very detailed and discuss each bulb being offered as a retrofit. You should go over this chart carefully. The first 6 columns describe the existing lighting solution. It references the type of bulb, the number of each, the watts that each bulb requires to operate, the hours per year the lights are on, the total kilowatt hours consumed, and the cost associated with the bulb. The next 4 columns represent the proposed LED solution, the watts that the LEDs require, the total kilowatt hours used by the new solution, and the total proposed cost. And then you've got the final column, which is the big reveal when they see how much money is being saved by each bulb in the proposed solution. This is powerful information, and if presented correctly, is an even more powerful inducement for your customer to buy. There is no denying that the entire world is going or wants to go green. If you have not met with many customers yet, you'd be surprised how many of them are swayed, not only by dollars and cents, but also by the environmental effects of their actions. Your customers want to be green. They want to feel like they're making a positive contribution to the world. When you can show them that by retrofitting their facilities, they can take away, say, 32 cars from the road, you'd be shocked at how responsive they become. The text of this page discusses emissions and the mercury issue and other green topics regarding CFLs, but your closer is the summary of how many cars the LEDs will theoretically remove from the road. So definitely focus on that when you're discussing this page with the customer. This page only applies when rebates are available to the purchase, which is not always the case. In this particular situation with Midwest Rubber, there were huge rebates equaling more than $30,000. In the text portion of this page, we restate the existing rebate programs and calculate the total saving. However, when you are talking rebates, remember, and this is critical, that anytime you represent that a rebate is available, you must confirm it with the local utility in writing. Even with that confirmation, which we had in this case, you'll note at the bottom of the page here that we don't guarantee anything until the check is in the consumer's hand. If we misrepresent the rebates or misstate the utility's position regarding rebates, you not only have a potential breach of contract, but a potential fraud affecting a quasi-governmental entity. Disaster does not even begin to describe the consequences of that happening. In a general sense, separate from this report, please be extremely careful that whenever you discuss a rebate, especially in writing, let's say via email, you caution the customer that it is an estimate only and cannot be confirmed by any party other than the utility. Another point you want to consider is, as we noted in Section 3 of this program, you must, or at least should, become the expert at local rebates. Build a relationship with employees at the local utility. Take classes regarding their programs. They're usually free and usually available. The more you know, the better your chances will be, not only of understanding the rebate, but getting the utility to sign off. Many utilities, as we've said, are notoriously difficult when it comes to getting rebates. By building a relationship with them, you might be able to make it easier to get the money and ultimately the sale. Again, this is powerful stuff. This page reflects a grant administered by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. It is called the REAP grant, which stands for Rural Energy for America program. This program is designed for companies in rural areas with low population count, and the majority of your customers probably will not be located in a qualifying area, especially if you live in an urban setting. Nevertheless, you should know that if you have a customer domiciled in a rural area, there may be additional funds you can get to close the deal. Whenever money is available, try and get it, or at least know the circumstances under which you might be able to get it. This page will only appear if the REAP program is available to your customer. The text here describes the REAP program and financing and recites the qualifications for obtaining the money. We do take some pains in these EEAs to restate all of the prerequisites for this grant and any others that might be available, because for programs like these, it's important to clearly set forth the qualifications, just on the off chance that your customer misrepresents some facts to you that affects their qualification for the program. If it's ever discovered that a discrepancy exists, it's good to be able to point to this analysis to confirm that you advised your customer of the requirements and it was their actions that resulted in the disqualification. Cover your tracks whenever you're dealing with any governmental entity, just in case there's a problem down the road. You'll be happy that you did. This page relates to the federal government's 179D program, which provides additional incentives when an entity installs energy-efficient lighting systems in their facility. Acquaint yourself with this section. It could be very helpful. This page provides additional details relating to the savings from a reduced load on the HVAC system and the dramatically fewer number of bulbs that will need to be changed during the life of the LED system. Just to reiterate, the LED lights burn much cooler than incandescents, and thus the HVAC systems do not have to work as hard to cool the environment. Also, since an incandescent will burn out after, say, 1,000 hours, while an LED will burn out after 50,000 hours, that's 49 bulbs that do not have to be replaced after the LED is installed. If the bulbs being replaced are more than 15 or 20 feet high, the reduced maintenance cost is much larger because you get to account for the reduced need to rent cherry pickers or get scaffolding to reach the high bays. These are both real expenses, although other lighting companies may or may not talk about them. Your knowledge of these types of ancillary expenses can provide you a key advantage over your competitors, so you should play it up whenever possible. This page restates the costs and savings calculated in the previous pages. It also adds a line item for installation, which, as a general rule, equals about 10 to 15% of the cost of the bulbs. It's important that you have qualified and competent local contractors who can handle the install. Not all electricians are familiar with LED installation, so if you or the customer have contracted with one who has little knowledge, there could be real problems during the install. No matter how good the lights are, no matter how great the deal is, if the customer can't get them in, or there are electrical issues that affect the entire building thereafter, their experience will not be a good one. That could hurt your chances for referral business and word-of-mouth marketing, which is the lifeblood of our company. When you are assisting a customer with a transaction, make sure you don't stop once the lights are delivered. You need to participate all the way until the bulbs are installed and operational. No customer we've ever had has been unsatisfied with the end results of this product when we held their hands all the way to the end. The lights themselves will do the job as long as you do yours. This page recites details of the REAP program and the estimates regarding monthly payments. Note again that all financial calculations are estimated. Don't ever get caught guaranteeing anything because you don't know what might happen during the course of the transaction. This page provides information related to the shared savings. That is, the customer is going to save money each month in a sufficient amount to pay off some portion, if not all, of the loan to the lending institution to finance the deal. Thus, the savings are being shared by both the customer and the financier. Obviously, if the customer paid directly without getting financing, the information will reflect that the customer gets all the savings from day one. Here, in this example, the customer pays $2,245.13 to the financier for a period of 4 years, but during that time, the customer gets to keep $186.30 each month As a result of the increased efficiency of the lighting solution, at the end of the 4 years, when the loan is paid off, the entire savings of $2,431.43 goes to the customer, which means that by purchasing LED and induction lights and getting superior lighting with positive environmental benefits, the customer gets paid more than $2,000 a month. That's not a bad deal. These final 2 pages simply provide some definitions to the customer for clarity's sake. You certainly be well worth your time to go over them, make sure you know them, so that if the customer asks any questions, you can be educated as to the different types of terms we're using. As you can see, the energy audit is fairly self-explanatory, and we drafted it in a way to make it exceedingly clear to the customer. You would be shocked at how convoluted and difficult it is to get through analyses provided by some of our competitors. One of our competitors, who's a large national lighting chain, provided a nearly indecipherable 28-page spreadsheet to a customer in an attempt to win their business. When we countered with this EEA, we received the order just a few days thereafter. We cannot emphasize enough the importance of this EEA. It is the primary distinguishing factor between us and our competition. LED and induction lights are largely similar from company to company. While we provide a quality product, so do many other suppliers. Pricing is similar as well because the products are largely like commodities. Certainly we offer competitive pricing, but we don't like to hang our hat on price, because if that's all you got, the first guy who offers your product for a quarter less is going to steal your business. But this EEA, it's special because it offers so much important information to the customer, which we glean directly from the customer's business. When we're selling, we try to sell in a consultative manner, which means that we don't just sell a product to a customer. We try to provide a solution to a problem that they have, namely the high cost of energy. And this EEA is the deliverable that presents that solution after the hours of work that we and you put in. Remember, this EEA is a product that most companies would charge for. We currently offer it to our customers for free, and you should make sure they understand the efforts we're putting forth to provide them with this information. When they know we've given them value for no costs, it is a strong inducement for them to trust us and to continue doing business with us. On a related note, and again, I can't stress this enough, do not send this EEA to a customer via email and ask them to review it. You need to go into the customer's office, go through it page by page, if they'll let you. The more face time you have with the customer, the more they realize that you're providing them with a valuable service and a solution. The more information you can give them to distinguish us from our competitors, the more likely you are to get the sale. Remember, you're not just a light bulb salesman. You're a consultant providing them with a valuable service. If this document comes over the email, your customer may glance at it, they may not, but they almost certainly will not take the time to read through all 17 pages, review it, understand all the detail, and see how much we offer them. That's why it is absolutely essential that you take the time to schedule a meeting, speak to the customer face-to-face, and walk them through all of the work we've done. Trust me, when as a result of the time you spend in potential customers' offices, you don't have the time to handle all the deals that come flooding in, you'll thank us. So, okay, well, with that, we're going to conclude this training program. I want to thank you for taking the time to sit through all 5 sections. I hope that you've learned some valuable information that will make you a more successful lighting consultant. I can assure you that the information and techniques set forth in this program have successfully resulted in companies like Raytheon and Quicken Loans purchasing their lights, and they can help you too. Also, please feel free to provide feedback on this program as well as any other aspect of the sales process. We are constantly trying to help you succeed. And if you think there's something that we should know which will assist in that endeavor, we're always eager to talk to you. Until then, remember that as long as you're selling, you're helping others save money, save energy, and save the world. So thanks, and we'll see you soon.